Hey DataBard, it looks like you're trying to do analysis on discounts on your sales transactions. Well, if you need help with that, do I have the group by query statement for you? Fablique is on my shoulder giving me SQL advice. That means we're talking about the Fabric SQL Copilot experience on today's chapter of DataBard. Fabulous style. DataBard, 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 DataBard. Dabba 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 dabba, hoi hoi hoi. With current trends on fabric features, here's Fablique, the fashionista. Fablique. May your fabric be fabulous. Good day, fabulous fabricators, and here we are with Fablique to talk about some exciting innovations on the fabric front. Today we're talking about copilots. Now some may consider that the copilot experiences are a little bit blasé, but let's be honest, they're here to help us when we need them most. And for those looking to get started with SQL, look no further than the Fabric SQL Copilot experience. Now we are a full year into the whole experience of having copilots available across all SKUs, except the trials. But if you're someone looking for advice on how to query SQL tables and to maybe even create some SQL database objects of yourself, this is a copilot baked right into the Fabric SQL experience, which is a great place for anybody to get started with their database. If you're looking for database help, look no further in Fabric than the Fabric SQL Copilot experience. This has been Fabulous Fabric Features with Fablique, and as always, may your fabric be fabulous. So all of the other copilots that I've worked with, why am I trying this one in particular? Aside from the fact that SQL augmented copilots are basically my thing now. Well, first of all, it's a SQL copilot that's specifically attached to Fabric SQL, so it should be able to understand some better context around the Fabric SQL environment. More importantly though, you see me work with the initial copilot experience in SSMS, the now GitHub copilot experience in SSMS. All of these copilot experiences are built on the same foundational engine. The idea is ideally it works the same way across the board. So what we're going to be trying today is we're going to try and see, does this give us a same or similar experience to what we've had so far, knowing what we've been able to accomplish with GitHub Copilot. Let's jump into the demo and see what we find out. For today's demo, we're going to try and do the same demo we did for GitHub Copilot last time, which is this scenario. We have an invoice table in an operational database in the DBO schema that has no ETL process feeding into our dimensional model split up between dimension and fact schemas. Our goal is to create a full process that gets the data all the way from the DBO schema into our final fact schema. We are going to start with a prompt that I've written previously, and I put a fair amount of work into engineering this prompt for this particular use case. I've gotten some very good success out of it with SSMS GitHub Copilot. Let's see how it does with Fabric SQL Copilot. So I'm going to take it from my screen, I'm going to paste it in here. What the? Uh-oh. Okay, character limit exceeded. So apparently we have a 500 character limit, which seems fairly small for prompting, which suggests that this copilot isn't looking for very elaborate prompts, it's looking for very simple prompts, probably in more of an incremental approach. Alright, give me a moment, I need to rethink my demo. Having read the documentation for this Copilot experience, I get the feeling that this is going to be more intended around people looking to either do database design or are looking to do analytical queries off of this environment. So we're going to try and focus on those areas instead. Sorry, my prompt. Guess ETL will have to wait. Bye. Okay. Now to actually do some work in this environment, talks about creating a table. Well, I haven't done any updates to this database in a while, so maybe we need to add in some additional information. But I'm not quite sure where to start. Well, maybe I can ask Copilot for some advice. So let's start with a prompt. This is a demo database modeling an operational database in the DBO schema that holds and processes sales and invoice data related to product sales. Give me some oh, that's not how we spell that. Give me some recommendations on what tables we should add to this design given typical use cases. Let's see what it gives us for a response. I haven't worked with this one a whole lot, so I'm not quite sure what latency looks like. In initial tests with this, the Copilot experience here seems a little slower than what I've seen in other environments, but also once it gives me a response, it gives me the whole response as one singular thing. So maybe it's just taking extra time because it wants us to give us the full answer, not do more of the iterative experience that we're used to with GitHub Copilot. Let's see what it gave me. Your current includes tables for blah 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 invoice messages. Yes, I know what's in here. Typical use cases in sales and invoicing. Order details, invoice details. Suppliers, vendors. Let's see. Inventory, stock movements. No, we don't want to get into inventory. That's a weird area always to model. Customer payments, discounts, or promotions. Ooh, discounts and promotions sounds like a good one. Okay. Now, one important thing to talk about here. This used to be in SSMS Copilot originally. It's not there in the current version, but it should be coming back at some point once they figure out at least how they're going to handle the security aspect of things. We have this approval option here. So we have two options when working with this Copilot. Either we can go read only, which means it can read the database structures, but it can't perform any write operations. Or we can do read and write operations, but those write operations need to be approved. We're going to do approval so we can see how well it does with that experience. So let's see, create a table for discount data. We'll keep that simple. Since I'm asking it to create a table, what it should theoretically do is prompt me with a prompt. Technically, yes, it is prompting me with a prompt to accept the query that it generates and that it can run that, which requires me to prompt it to go ahead. There's a lot of backwards and forwards prompting here. No, I'm prompting you. No, you're prompting me. No, I'm prompting you. All right, prompt is completed. Let's actually get back to demo. Give us a table for discounts, IDs, identity, good. We're all good there. It did keep the naming convention there, which is nice to see. I didn't specify that in my... I didn't ask it to check all their tables in my database, so that's good. Discount name, discount description, discount type. Good. Sure, we could maybe normalize that if we wanted to, but we'll say for sake of us being analytical people, we'll keep it denormalized there. Start date and end date, created date. Pretty good for initial schema. I like that. Let's go ahead and run it. I'm not seeing anything on the screen suggesting that there's anything being done. Might need to scroll forward on this because I'm not sure how long this is going to take. Hold, please. Of course, I just had to say something, and there it goes. Alright, table DBO discounts has been created to store discount data. Check under DBO. Not seeing it there at the moment, although we've got a spinny wheel. It's prompted for a refresh. Oh, there it goes. Never mind, I'm just getting impatient. It's taking too long to do this. Alright, initial response, there. Good. We've got a base structure for this table. Now I've got some work to do because I've got a table, but I have nothing else that references it. Presumably, I want things like either sales transactions or invoices. So it asks me, if you need any further modifications or additional tables, please let me know. Alright, I have a discount table with no relationship to other tables in the DBO schema. Recommend tables I should have relationships to. Ideally, what it should notice here is if we're talking typical discounts, this table should be defining the discount properties themselves, which means we're looking for fact-like tables that need to look up to this and to define aspects of a discount applying to a specific event. Most likely, I'd say sales transactions make sense. We'll see if it suggests invoices instead. Typical relationships, invoice details. All right, good. Customer-specific discounts are classifications of customer eligible to certain discounts. I suppose if we want to say that customers are eligible, maybe, but I'd say that's a bit of a specific use case. Products or product categories. We're not going to apply it there. We're going to keep it within context of specific. Here we're going to be focusing on discounts applying to specific financial transactions. So we'll avoid that, which means sales transactions or invoices. Would you like me to help you create foreign key relationships or junction tables to establish these relationships? Good. Let's create relationships with both sales transactions and invoices. Create relationships between discounts and invoices, and both invoices and sales transactions. Create foreign key constraints to enforce the relationship. This is a pretty interesting experience for me. I'm used to writing more verbose prompts with the hope that the more verbose the prompt, the more things that it can do, the fewer times that I have to prompt it to look for refinements. But again, we have a 500 character limit, so I expect that I have to keep these a little bit smaller. Alright, DBO invoices, add discount ID null. Alright, good. Let's go ahead and run that. Okay, apparently adding in a single statement took too long. Let's try it one more time. Type retry. And here we're waiting again, so hold, please. So just saying retry was able to prompt me again. Let's run this one more time. Perhaps this is a good time for a commercial break. Do we have a commercial? And now we're back from the commercial. It looks like it's not liking running this request. The nice thing though is this Copilot experience, similar to the other ones that we've worked with, has these lovely buttons here that allows us to either copy to clipboard or insert code into the open chat window. Not chat window, open query editor window. Too many windows. In Windows. Windows in Windows? Windowception? I digress. I moved it into this window. Let's run it. This is running on an F2 SKU. I'm guessing that might be why this is taking its sweet time. F2 for me and you. F2 for every you. Me? Upon running the query, it looks like it's suggesting that names must be unique. Let's check. Shows that sales transactions completed. So even though it told us that it ran into an error, it looks like it actively ran it. And it looks like it ran it for both tables successfully. Sure enough, it ran it for both tables successfully. That's great, but it didn't actually enforce anything. So add foreign key constraints to tables with lookups to discounts. It appears that the more that I'm prompting this Copilot experience, the more it is running into issues. Let's maybe move away from the chat window and let's focus on our other use case, which is actively writing a query. So let's drag that over here. Let's wipe this out. Let's suppose I actively want to write a query that is going to give me analysis of discounts once I get the invoice and sales transaction data set up to use the discount table. One way that you can do this is with double dash, which lets you write in a single line comment, and this will tell us what is the actual query that we want to write. Give me an analysis of sales transactions by discount type. To accept the results that Copilot gave me, I'm going to hit Tab. That commits it to the window. And taking a quick look at it, brings us to sales transactions by discounts, discount ID to discount ID. The predicate looks good. Groups by discount type, and since I did discount type, it knew I was looking for a column that you would expect to aggregate on. So it's aggregating by that, and then assessing things like number of transactions, total sales amount, average sales amount. Not a half bad idea. I'll go ahead and run. And this is why I'm running into issues. Looks like I've maxed out my capacity. We'll take a breather from this and revisit this demo. I just got dinged by the capacity admin for my last demo, and here's my next demo maxing out my capacity. That's alright, he only checks it every couple of weeks, I should be fine. Oh, DataBard! Care to explain this? Help! So to be clear here, I'm running this on an F2 capacity. So the fact that this already chewed on my capacity, let's not worry about that too much right now because I'm on the smallest SKU possible for this experience. It's a good thing to remember that utilizing copilots in Fabric does work against your capacity. So make sure you plan your capacity accordingly for this. Okay, I let my capacity cool off a little bit and burn off that overage, so let's go back and let's try and finish our demo. First thing I want to make sure I do is, to be a good database, we want to enforce those foreign key constraints, so let's check if there are any foreign key constraints between discounts and the invoice and sales transactions tables. So check between invoices, discounts, and sales transactions in the DBO schema. Identify if any foreign key constraints are missing from the tables, and if so, add them. Now I'm going to ask it to add them, but notice we are in read-only right now, so that suggests it should only create the queries, it should not prompt me to write them. Hopefully this shouldn't take too long, but we'll roll ahead. Prompt responded, let's take a look at the response. Following key constraints are missing and should be added. Invoices is missing a foreign key constraint and discount ID. Sales transactions table has the same thing. Okay, let's go ahead and execute this. Actually, we'll have it read and write with approval. Execute the foreign key constraint statements against the database. Should only take a moment. a couple of moments here and it gives me the prompt for that. Let's see if we can run it. And there we have our successful constraints added in. Let's at least run our query then. So we'll go ahead and we will use this experience here. We know what the query looks like if we write the comment on it. Let's try and write it in by hand. So let's see, let's do select from, let's see, we'll look at it from sales transactions. Sales transactions. Nope, I don't want that. Not getting a whole lot of responses here, and there's supposed to be code completion in here. Let's maybe add the comment back in at the top and see if that changes our experience. Create a query that shows sales transactions by discount type. Metrics by discount type. Alright, that at least gives us the whole query. We'll at least tab and accept that for now. But let's see what the in-code completion looks like. So it looks like if you add the comment in at the top and then continue to edit, it's still trying to add in the full query that responds to the comment above. Let me double check if that's in documentation. Looking at the documentation, that is a known limitation. The Copilot can't change existing SQL queries in the SQL query editor. Do we have anybody talk about this?
DataBard? Talking about the sort of stuff is my thing, you know? Bad things happen.
Can't remember. Oh well.
Excuse you.
Let's open up a new query editor window and see if we can get this query written. Select star from I wonder if that's what happened. Let me test that again. New query. Select from Notice what happened here. In this window here, when I don't complete the select clause within the select statement, and then I'm waiting for code completions, it doesn't work. But if I go in and I add in a select star, notice I can get code completion. And it is able to comment from there. Code completions work. And I can see at the bottom there, notice at the bottom of the screen we do have a Copilot completions are on and Copilot completions are ready. If I go to the other screen, it still says that the Copilot completions are ready, but I'm guessing because I don't have anything in the select clause, it doesn't have any idea remotely what I'm looking for, so it has no idea what to suggest. So if you're going to use this experience, I usually like to create my from and my joins first before I deal too much with the select statement. So maybe go in and change your select clause to a select star while you're editing the other clauses within the query, and then you can go back and edit the select clause later. One other fun part here is notice it is checking the sales transactions table for relationships that exist and is already writing the join statements for me to successfully join into those tables. Pretty cool. In this case, though, this doesn't fully help me because I'm not looking to do analysis on products, employees, or regions. We're doing discount analysis. So let's close this out and let's do join dbo.discounts. Copilot completion's thinking gives us the right predicate for that. That's great. And I can keep going from clause to clause and doing code completions as I need to write things. If you already have a good idea of what you want your query to look like, it's probably best to use the commenting option at the beginning and have it generate an initial version of the query, and then you can edit it from there. Let's do a quick test of this query to see if it works. Query completed, and for discount IDs that are not null, we have nothing. Which is right. The one thing that we didn't do was we created the column, but we never populated it with values. So let's see if Copilot can help us answer this. I wrote this query, and it's not returning any results. Do I have discount ID values in the sales transaction table? If not, create and run a query to populate discount ID with a random distribution of values. Now, even in a few words, I'm asking it to do a lot. Check the table, see if it does not have values, and if it doesn't, we're going to ask it to create a random distribution. For this to work, it needs to query the discount table for possible values, and then come up with a way of randomly generating values that fit within that set. Take a look at the query here. It's a little bit wide, so let's look in here. Discount values as select discount ID from discounts, randomize sales as select transaction ID, select top one, order by new ID, and then update equal to. I'm going to go ahead and run this, but I'm pretty sure this isn't going to give us a random distribution. It's only going to give us a single value. Main reason is it's doing the new ID, which is a common way of randomly generating values within database environments. It's going to do that, but it's doing it within a CT, which means it's only going to get one response. The top one is what is returned, which means that is what we are going to get for response. It's giving us that top one once, which means that's a singular value that will apply to all transactions. Let's see if it works. Okay, response didn't return a lot of values, but no, I think I know what actually happened. Select star from dbo.discounts, and my guess is, because we didn't ask it to populate anything in this table, it is empty. There's nothing for it to do. Yep, sure, it doesn't have it. So let's say, write a script to create. Now let's not have it write a script. Let's just say create 10 records of common discounts in the discounts table. There we go, gave us our query. Let's go ahead and run that. Ran that. It ran successfully. We check again. We should have data, theoretically. Now the thrilling moment. Am I going to max out my capacity twice in the same video? There we go. We have values. Now what we should be able to do is we'll insert code for that statement before. We'll run that, just to at least populate values. But again, we should expect it's only going to give us one valid discount value. Alright, affected that many rows. Now, let's run our analysis query. And we should find that we only get one record back. And it gave us an error message, which shouldn't surprise us because it made one glaring error. We don't have a group by clause here for discount type, therefore it can't be in the query. We know that from our laws of SQL. So we'll just add in a group by d.discount type. And let's run our query again. Not surprising, but this reminds us, as always, AI should not be smarter than we are. We need to know what we're doing at any point in time. We're using artificial intelligence to do anything to support our work. So no matter what your game plan is for AI usage, make sure the human part of the equation remains so that you have control over what AI generates, and therefore you remain responsible for that code. And as we expected, it only gave us one discount value, which we know from the statements there. We could continue to work with the prompting experience to refine our process and make this a really sophisticated design, but we're going to end the demonstration here because we've proven out what the Fabric SQL experience looks like. Those capabilities, the in-chat experience, the inline completions when your queries are well formatted, and being able to write a comment that generates an entire query for you. These are all things that are innately baked into the Fabric SQL experience. Now that doesn't mean it doesn't come with trade-offs. As you saw in today's demonstration, Fabric Copilot experiences consume capacity units. So doing this does consume your capacity units. Make sure you do this responsibly. Also, as we saw in today's demo, Copilot experiences aren't always guaranteed to be accurate and to generate good responses, which means we always need to know what we're doing with code and how it works so that we can be the ones responsible for the code that AI generates. All in all, I'll say this is a really good experience for those new to SQL. It's a great opportunity to learn how to write queries, to learn how to work with databases at a fundamental level. For those in more data engineering roles or maybe DBA roles, this may not be the best experience for you, partially because of that 500 character limit means we have to ask it simpler prompts, but also because of the sorts of things that we would ask it to do. More sophisticated things, index analysis or pattern replication for ETL processing. Those are things that likely won't fit into this Copilot experience. What should you do instead? Maybe consider going for the SSMS GitHub Copilot experience. I think that will give you a much better experience for this. If you want to see that, take a look at the other video that I've done with SSMS GitHub Copilot, as that was done on the exact same database you saw today. Brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you for watching, and hopefully this helps you give you some wonderful insight into the Fabric SQL Copilot experience. Have any follow-up questions on Copilot experiences with databases or Fabric, especially the notebook experience? Let me know in the comments. I'll do my best to answer those questions in comment or in future videos. For now, I'm DataBard, and I'll see you in the next chapter.